One day, by the banks of a peaceful river, the Venerable Buddha gathered his disciples to impart one of his deepest lessons on life. He began by telling the story of a man who had been struck by a poisoned arrow. With his calm, wise voice, he recounted, there was a man who was injured by a poisoned arrow. His family, desperate, called for a doctor to save his life. However, instead of allowing the doctor to remove the arrow right away, the man insisted on getting answers before any treatment. He wanted to know who had shot the arrow, what the arrow was made of, what kind of poison was used, and other irrelevant details. While he waited for these answers, refusing help, he ultimately died. The moral of the story. After finishing the parable, Buddha explained, this man represents many of us. Instead of taking action to resolve the immediate problems in life, we waste our time and energy on irrelevant questions and speculations while we get distracted by what doesn't matter. We miss the opportunity to deal with what is essential. Buddha emphasized that the key to a full and meaningful life is focusing on practical actions and what truly matters. The man in the story is a depiction of how many people face challenges with the mind preoccupied by unnecessary curiosities and worries, while ignoring the urgency of addressing their immediate problems. This story reminds us that often we let ourselves get consumed by details that do not change the outcome of situations. We want answers to the why of something happening or speculate about culprits and motives, when we should focus on the how to solve the problem. Getting distracted by secondary questions can be costly, both emotionally and physically. The moral of the story is clear. We need to focus on what really matters. Instead of wasting energy on what is irrelevant, we should take action on real problems. This practice not only saves time, but also preserves our mental and emotional health, allowing us to move forward with clarity and purpose. Applying the parable to modern life. Prioritize the essentials. How many times have you found yourself procrastinating or getting stuck in irrelevant details instead of acting on what is urgent? The story of the poisoned arrow teaches us to avoid analysis paralysis and focus on what needs to be done now. For example, if you have a health issue, seek treatment immediately. Knowing all the causes or history of the problem is secondary. The most important thing is to start the care that will preserve your life. If there's a conflict in a relationship, focus on resolving it with dialogue and understanding. Blaming others or digging through past events will only increase emotional distance. The lesson here is simple. Focus on what is most important and take actions that bring immediate solutions. Secondary issues or speculations can wait until the critical situation is under control. This ability to prioritize the essentials not only saves time, but also avoids emotional and mental strain, allowing you to regain control of the situation effectively. Avoid unnecessary distractions. We live in a world where the amount of available information is virtually unlimited. Social media, news, emails, and messages constantly compete for our attention, making it difficult to stay focused on what truly matters. This information overload can be compared to the irrelevant questions the man in the parable asked. They consume our time and energy, but rarely offer anything of value. For example, endless debates on topics you can't change, such as unproductive political discussions or engaging in gossip, just drain your energy and contribute nothing to your growth or problem solving. Ask yourself, will this improve my life in any way? If the answer is no, then it's time to redirect your attention. A practical strategy to avoid unnecessary distractions is to set clear limits on information consumption. Set specific times to check emails or access social media, and spend more time on activities that truly matter for your personal and professional goals. Also, cultivate the habit of eliminating what is superfluous in your daily life. Reduce notifications. Simplify your schedule. Say no to commitments that add no value. Just as the man wounded by the arrow lost his chance of survival by getting distracted with irrelevant questions, can also lose precious opportunities by letting ourselves be consumed by things that add no value. By being clear about your priorities and eliminating distractions, you'll create space to invest in what really makes a difference in your life. This practice not only boosts productivity, but also fosters a sense of accomplishment and purpose, helping you move forward with more confidence and direction. Accept what cannot be answered. Life is full of mysteries and uncertainties, and many of the questions that torment us simply have no definitive answers. Some of these questions may seem deep and fundamental, such as, why do bad things happen? To me, what is the true meaning of life? These questions, though understandable and human, often trap us in cycles of worry and frustration. We become obsessed with finding explanations that, most of the time, are beyond our reach or have no practical impact on how we live. The parable of the poisoned arrow teaches us a valuable lesson: to accept that not all questions need to be answered for us to move forward. This act of acceptance does not mean giving up on seeking knowledge or understanding, but learning to prioritize what really matters in the moment. For example, instead of constantly asking, why did I lose my job? It is more productive to focus on, what can I do now to find a new job? Or, how can I improve my skills for future opportunities? This shift in mindset allows us to take concrete actions and avoid the paralysis that comes from seeking impossible or irrelevant answers. Accepting uncertainty is also a path to inner peace. It involves understanding that we don't have control over everything, and often the best we can do is focus on the present and the choices we can make. Acceptance helps us release the weight of unnecessary expectations and worries, allowing us to live with more ease and resilience. Moreover, learning to deal with the unknown is an essential skill in a constantly changing world. By embracing uncertainty, we become more flexible and open to new possibilities, allowing us to face challenges with courage and creativity. After all, as the parable teaches, it's better to act on what we know and can control than to waste time trying to solve mysteries that may never be unraveled. Solve the problem at the root. When facing difficulties, we often try to circumvent the problems or delay their resolution, whether out of fear, lack of resources, or even laziness. However, the parable of the poisoned arrow reminds us that direct and immediate action is crucial to avoid more severe consequences. For example, imagine you're facing financial difficulties. Instead of ignoring warning signs or making small, temporary cuts to your spending, it's crucial to face the problem head-on. This means carefully analyzing your finances, identifying spending habits that are hurting your budget, and developing a strategic plan to cut expenses, increase your income, regain stability. The same applies to relationships. If you notice a pattern of conflict or misunderstanding, delaying necessary conversations or pretending everything is fine will only worsen the situation. Facing the problem at its root requires the courage to open an honest dialogue, acknowledge mistakes, and work together on solutions that strengthen the bond. Additionally, solving a problem at its root often requires introspection. Many times, the external challenges we face are reflections of internal issues that haven't been resolved. For example, constant difficulties at work could signal dissatisfaction with your career or a need to develop new skills. Identifying the origin of these feelings and taking steps to address them can significantly transform your life. Therefore, the lesson here is clear. It's pointless to only treat the symptoms of problems. To truly overcome them, it's necessary to go to the root, identify the causes, and take decisive action. This approach not only solves the difficulties more effectively, but also prevents them from reappearing in the future, allowing you to move forward with more confidence and peace of mind. Practice mindfulness. The story also encourages us to live in the present moment. The restless mind often leads us to worry about the past or fear the future, diverting our focus from the now. Mindfulness is a way to calm these thoughts and allow us to act with clarity. For example, dedicate a few minutes each day to meditate or simply observe your breath during meals. Focus on the taste, texture, and aroma of the food instead of getting distracted by phones or TV. These practices help train your mind to stay in the present, where you have the power to act. Over time, mindfulness can reduce anxiety, improve your focus, and increase your ability to make conscious decisions. The parable of the poisoned arrow offers a profound lesson on how we often waste time and energy on matters that are ultimately irrelevant to the challenges at hand. In the story, the man is struck by a poisoned arrow, but instead of immediately seeking help or addressing the injury, he becomes consumed with questions that are unrelated to his immediate survival, such as the identity of the person who shot the arrow or the specific type of poison used. This behavior prevents him from acting in the most effective way to save his life. The moral of the parable highlights how, in our own lives, we often become fixated on unnecessary details or distractions instead of focusing on the essential actions needed to solve our problems or move forward. This story teaches us the importance of acting with intention and mindfulness, addressing what truly matters and not letting ourselves be sidetracked by trivial concerns. It emphasizes that we don't need to have answers to every question in order to make progress. Sometimes, the most important step we can take is to focus on what is right in front of us, what needs our attention and action now, rather than getting bogged down in speculation or things we cannot change. The parable also encourages us to accept what is beyond our control. In life, there are countless uncertainties, and not everything will have a clear explanation or solution. Trying to find answers to every question or control every outcome is not only impossible, but can also prevent us from moving forward. By accepting what we cannot change and focusing on the present moment, we free ourselves from unnecessary worry and frustration. So, the next time you find yourself feeling overwhelmed by worries, distractions, or the need for answers that may never come, take a moment to reflect on the story of the man struck by the poisoned arrow. Ask yourself, am I dealing with a real problem, or am I getting caught up in questions and concerns that don't matter right now? This simple shift in perspective can help you refocus on what truly needs your attention and action. By doing so, you take the first step toward a more conscious and meaningful life, one where you are not paralyzed by distractions, but empowered to address challenges directly with clarity and purpose.